This is the journey to one Africa. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to SNOA family. This is Mika, and let's get right into it. Today, I'm going to react on one of the videos that I've seen online, and I've actually done reaction on this guy. Let me acknowledge him, by the way. His name is Rutendo Matinyarale. This brother right here is from Zimbabwe, and I was here. I did a reaction on his arrival to African Union Summit 37th. He has released the assessment of the AU Summit. He has been there. He went there. I think he's a private journalist. So he went there, you know, and now he's sharing his opinion about the summit. What we're going to do is, we're going to watch this video. It's from his TikTok account by the name of Rutendo Matinyarale, all the way from Zimbabwe. I've actually reached out to him because I want to have a conversation with him. But, you know, for now, let's go right into it. Listen to the video, trying to point out some important points, and then I'm going to go and do reaction to it. All right?
Right. So the conference is over now here in Addis Ababa, and it's been very interesting. Good to come to this country. One thing that I've learned about this country, Ethiopia, is the fact that Africa can build by itself without guidance from the West. It's a beautiful city. It's got great infrastructure. They do not have load shedding in this country, and they've built this country from scratch as Africans without any help from Europeans because they were never colonized. And that is something that I found interesting. They also say that they do not have foreign banks in this country. And because they do not have foreign banks in this country, they use their own banks, their own savings, their own capital to build the infrastructure and to build this nation. That is a message to many African countries, that we should be looking at building our own country and our own countries without waiting for European debt and without waiting for debt from other countries. This brings me now to the issue of the AU. It was a very interesting conference, but many leaders did not come. Museveni did not even bother to come. He sent somebody junior. The Malawian president did not come. I did not see the Botswana president. And in fact, many people who've always come here have said that they felt that most presidents did not come. We did not even see the festivities and activities that usually go with this conference. And the question is why? And so when we asked some of the people why the Museveni didn't come, they said Museveni said, unless there starts to be reforms at the AU, and unless there starts to be concrete decisions made on real important issues, he doesn't find the reason to come. And then we also have the Francophone countries that did not come. The other issue that I saw is that the issues that they discuss here tend to lack what is important for African countries. Number one, they have this emphasis on partners. And these partners oftentimes are Western nations, the World Bank, and these Western institutions that are known to underdevelop Africa. And the question we're asking the AU is, why do you keep partnering with enemies of Africa to try and develop Africa? For instance, the World Bank is lending money to the AU to create a think tank for Africans, a think tank for the AU, but they won't even allow us to have money to industrialize. The World Bank is known for deindustrializing Africa, over-indebting Africa. So why are they still our partners? Why do we take money from them? And why don't we emulate Ethiopia that does not use Western banks to develop itself? Another issue is food. They are partnering with institutions that want to bring GMOs onto the African continent. They do not talk about institutions like AGRA that have taken a very important role on the continent to make rules on how it is that we grow our food. They are not making anything or any policies to nullify UPO that gives precedence to Western seed companies to produce our seeds at the expense of our farmers and our nations. We also talk to them about the issues of medicines. They keep talking about medicines coming from Western companies, partnering with Western companies, and yet HIV has been spread on this continent together with many other diseases through vaccines that were given. This is something that is not a conspiracy theory. Listen to Saima, listen to Walter Basson. These are issues that were held in South African courts. These are issues in the public domain where Saima executives, Saima soldiers admit that They used vaccines to vaccinate Africans and to give them HIV. These are topics and discussions that were not had here at the AU. Our leaders continue to partner with these people that want to destroy African life. And the question we're asking is, what's the point of all these meetings if our leaders are still going to talk with the enemy? And then, of course, there's the European peace facility that I spoke about. It's a facility that seeks to give Africans, individual African nations, weapons to fight terrorism or to fight their neighbors. This money used to go to the AU when it used to be called the Africa Peace Facility. But now those monies will be given by European nations directly to African countries. And this is also why we're still seeing Western bases in African countries. We've got a person like Ruto, pretends to be a Pan-Africanist, but Ruto has got two military bases, the Americans and the British. The Americans have two bases, the British have one. Why would a Pan-Africanist like Ruto still have US bases on African soil? Why would the Ghanaian president still have American bases on his soil? Why would Zambia be putting Africa on their soil? And why do we come to these meetings when we've got sellouts like these leaders sitting among us?
I love this brother, man. So I've reached out to him and I've asked him, and so hopefully he's going to agree with that. And I'm going to bring him in here in Swahili Nation, and we're going to have a conversation together about this stuff and everything that is happening, and basically about AU. I really want to, dig down into his mind and to see what he thinks. I can tell he's the guy standing for Africa's independence and unity of Africa. I could tell from the video he creates about Zimbabwe and Africa, and he's from Zimbabwe. So it'll be really nice to connect with someone from Zimbabwe, because I think I don't have someone from Zimbabwe here yet. They come and go, but I don't have someone that I can reach out anytime. So hopefully this brother will be one of them. I send my regards to him. And if you're watching this, I appreciate you, brother, and I love you. So let's talk about the video that he shared. All right, let's start with the first thing. He's talking about Ethiopia. And this is the second video. He released the first video when he got there and the issue he faced. You remember, guys, I came here and I talked about visa and everything. And now he's talking at the airport while leaving from the summit. And he mentioned this about Ethiopia. And these are things that I've spoken about there in our videos, a lot of videos down there. The symbol or the sign of Africa's independence is Ethiopia. And one point that he said Africa can build by itself by looking at the Ethiopia. Because when you go to a lot of countries, like when you go to South Africa, when you go to our countries, you'll find out that our countries were built by colonizers. They built a railway. Even we have one railway from here, Tanzania to Zambia, called Tazara. It was built by Germans, right? When you go to castles, when you go to a historical site, you find out that they actually built this place. Even if they were not the one built it, but the one who designed it, and our people built it with their own sweat, blood, and tears, right? But when you go to Ethiopia, it's the different case, because, I went to Gonda, one of the city called Gonda, and I was doing a reaction on Fasil castles. And these castles, they were actually built by our own people, Ethiopians, Africans. They built it. And when you look at the architect design of this building, when you look at how many years they've been there, then you realize that our people are very smart, knowledgeable about the work. So this is the only country in Africa that actually our people built the country. Not colonizers, not Italians, no. Our people, Ethiopians, Africans, they built the country. So it was fascinating for him to see that. And also another thing about that I'm aware with, not having a foreign bank in Ethiopia. I know I've had a lot of conversation with Ethiopians, and there are people who, they say this is really good that we're running our country by ourselves. But there are people who they're like, we're cut off from the entire system of the world. But me as an African, I always believe to Africa's solutions to African problem with African money. Right. So I was very proud actually when I got to Ethiopia and I saw that the only banks that are in there, they're actually local banks and they're not allowing the system from the outside. And this is good because the country is moving forward. It could be moving slowly. You might be complaining, but I'm telling you, man, the issues and problem that countries that were colonized by you know, were colonized by the colonizers are going through. You know, it's not the same thing that Ethiopians are going through. And I know Ethiopia, they have a lot of issues happening, but I gotta be honest with you, man. Like the things that we're struggling with in our countries are much way worse than what you go through. And I'm not here to compare the issues and everything, but I'm here to simply say that, you know, one of the biggest, okay, Nyerere said this. Nyerere once said this, that the worst poverty of all is the mind poverty. Umasikini mbaya kabisa kuliko yote ni umasikini wa akili. So basically we're talking about knowledge. We're talking about that Africa, if Africa, we want to break ourselves from the shock of colonialism and being independent, fully independent of everything, then we need to get away from this mentality of colonizations. We need to decolonize our mind. We need not to be poor in our mind in order for us to be rich, you know, in our hands. You know what I'm saying? If you're poor in your mind, then you're going to be rich in your hand. So one of the damages that colonialism did to Africans is colonization, colonized the mentality that we cannot do anything. We need help. We need support. We need aid. And that is the worst struggle than any other struggle you can ever mention. So Ethiopia, it doesn't have that level of that struggle like Africa has. Man, I've been in that country. 99% of the songs that are released from Ethiopia, they're talking about Ethiopianism. People, they love the country. When it comes to the matter of the countries, they stand against everything. I released the other day the video I'm doing reaction on, you know, Somalia president, and I've spoken about Ethiopia president. You guys, I have seen how much I've been attacked everywhere. Everywhere on all social media. Because it's a matter of the states. And when it comes to Ethiopia, Ethiopians, they will come together against anything to stand. And that thing is what is missing in a lot of African countries. Sadly, even my country. That's one thing, like patriotism of the country is what missing. And when you look at it, then you realize that, oh, it is because of the foundation that it was built upon. Well, we have duty right now to make difference. We have a duty to change things, to make sure that our people are living in a better life. We have a duty, and these things can work as we come together and work towards that. But where you are is much better than a lot of African countries are when it comes to colonizing mentality or decolonizing our minds, you know. All right, that's the first thing he spoke, and I give kudos that to Ethiopia. But another thing that he spoke about, he's spoken about African Union Summit. All right, guys, I raised this concern before even the summit started. I remember there's a picture I shared in our WhatsApp group, and our people were sharing there that, you know, some of the things that you're going to be talking about, these are not going to be included. So he spoken one thing about many leaders not attending. He noticed that Yoweri Kaguta Museveni of Uganda did not attend. The president from Botswana was not there. Malawi was not there. And all the Francophone countries were not there. And I told you guys why. Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, Gabon, Sudan, and some other countries from that side did not attend because they were banned actually not to attend because of the coups that are happening. But speaking about other countries, so, you know, what Museveni said is what exactly the ex-president of Tanzania, John Pombe Magufuli, used to say. So John Pombe Magufuli, he was not going to attend to meetings. He did not go to United Nations meetings, and he did not attend a lot of meetings because he is an action-oriented person. He is an action-oriented leader. So a leader like Yoweri Museveni as well, basically he asked, and they say that, you know, he don't want to attend because unless there's no reformation, what President Ruto was announcing, unless there's no change, critical strategy of how to achieve the plans we plan, I'm not going to attend because it's wasted of time. And it is true. Because every single year we talk about the same thing, but we're not bringing about solution. We talk about silencing gun, but Ghana's still there. We talk about all these, the terrorist attack in the continent, Al-Shabaab, Boko Haram, they're still there. We talk about, corruption is still there. We talk about Africa's unity is still there. We're still divided. So what is the point of coming, meeting, and talking about the same thing over and over and over again without any action plan of it? So to be honest, these African leaders not attending, I'm talking about Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. I don't know the reason of other leaders, but for him saying that, I agree 100%. I don't see the need either to go there while I see there's no result, no outcome coming from the meeting. It'll be a waste of time. I would rather sit back home and work for my people, and my people will improve rather than go and sit for 2 or 3 days and there's nothing been done. No, it's wastage of time. And we can't do that. It's wastage of time, wastage of resources, wastage of people's taxes, money that they're running by the government. It's wasted of that. It could be spent, to build hospitals, to build schools, instead of sitting there and, do nothing. So I agree with that. And also another agenda that really I've spoken about in a previous video of AU, talking about the partnering with World Bank, maybe with IMF, with all these colonizers who are actually always taking advantage of Africa. He says, like, I spoken about, Americans being there and all these, other foreign powers being there in African Union summits and talking about partnering. We all know that aids and loans, they never benefit Africa. I posted a video the other day talking about why poverty in Africa is the multi-billion business to most of the elites and politicians. So in order for some of the people in the continent to be rich, to benefit from the money, Africa has to remain poor. Africa has to remain in need of resources, in need of the support, in need of the peacekeeping missions like MONUSCO, in need of that for them to succeed. In order for NGO, international and local, to be relevant in the continent, Africa must and has to remain poor, must and has to be in conflict all the time. So having conversation, having partnership with your enemies, you know exactly what they do. We have seen Congo kicking away MONUSCO from the country because situation has been escalating and changing in a negative way for over 3 decades. Kicking them away because they don't see peace in the country. They don't see peace that they promised them to bring. Now they kick them away. And you, African Union, sitting talking about partnership with these countries, it does not make sense. And it's disgrace for our people and for our continent. Africans, we need first and foremost to figure out how can we organize ourselves? How can we tackle these issues and problems that we're facing in Africa? How can we come together as one people before jumping outside? Because we're not strong enough. We're not strong enough because we're divided. Unity is power. And if we're divided, we don't have unity. And I said this before, that Africans, we don't really know the real meaning of unity because we are not united. We don't really know the real meaning of power because you're not united. Unity is power. You want power? Be united. Don't borrow money. Partner with your neighbor before partnering over somebody else. Figure out your thing together. And he has spoken about, two presidents. The President Ruto, guys, there's a video coming why most of Africans are disappointed in President Ruto. We made it. And he's spoken about the president of Ghana, that in Kenya, they have 2 American military bases and 1 British. In, Ghana, they have the same thing. And this president I claim to be Pan-Africanist, but why do you still have the foreign military bases in your country? Why? Why do you still have that? It does not make sense. It does not make sense. I've seen how President Biden, he actually commanded, I believe Rwanda. He said that Rwanda, they should remove something from Congo. He said that. But I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, you guys, okay, you're saying this, all right. But you guys are all over our continent with your troops. Why are you there? Why are you there? Let us deal with our own issues. Don't put your nose into our issues because you are the reason of what's happening in Africa, not otherwise. So guys, I speak about this all the time. And I know some of y'all are depressed because every single time we talk about this, every single time. But we need to understand that in order Africa to change, we need to go back to the root cause of our problem. And we cannot solve our issues if we don't talk about them. We first and foremost have to talk about our issues blankly, openly. We must use the free will, the power that God has given each and every single one of us to talk about these issues. Because once we talk about them, then we'll be able to find the solution. Then we'll be able to move away from these issues. If we're not pointing, if we're not willing to have difficult conversations, then we're not going to see the Africa we want. So African Union, again, it's another disappointing meeting because it's the same issues all the time, but we don't see the way out of it. We don't see how these dreams and visions are going to be actualized. And the sad thing is when you partner with our enemies, because our people are struggling and suffering because of them. All right, I don't say that we cannot partner with the world. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is what is important for Africa is unity of our countries. Is African Union first to be strengthened, to be reformed, to be renewed, to donate the money for ourselves. I've done research here in SNOA, and more than 96% of people, they say we're willing to contribute our money to African Union as long as they refuse to receive loan and aid from the outside, as long as they come clean with all the budget and everything they do, as long as they deliver one Africa, one currency, one army, one SIM code, and everything that we want. As long as they do that, and visa-free country, we are willing to give our own money. And with all being said, go and sign the petition in the comment section and in the description, code One Africa right now. It is about everything I'm talking about here. So my brother, he shared a lot of things, and I agree with him 100%. My brother Rutendo, it is useless having these meetings if we are not really change anything. So it's my call to African Union. And a lot of people I know might criticize that. I always criticize, but my criticism is to construct, is to build. If we cannot talk about it, if we cannot keep African Union accountable, then we're not going to see change in the continent. They need to be accountable. They are responsible for this. They need to stop this. They need to stop conflicts in Africa, stop wars in Africa, and they need to work for the continent. And you can only do that if you support yourself. Stop receiving loan and aid. Stop partnering with enemies first before your own people. Partner with your people first. Let's come together as one, and then we'll have a strong say when we stand in the international stages. But for now, we don't have that power, because all the power comes from them, and all the power belongs to them. Whoever feeds you controls you. You want to figure out who is in charge? Look at where the money comes from, because that was really in charge. Appreciate, guys. Hey guys, as you're watching this video, our vision is to reach 500,000 subscribers. Hit the subscribe button. Join membership to support our channel. Join Patreon and PayPal. All the links are in the description. Do that to stand with us for this beautiful cause of One Africa right now. We do. Do not forget to sign up for the petition. The link is down below. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.